There are moments in every season where the heart of a team is revealed. For the Golden State Warriors, that moment has arrived. Game 7 looms like a storm on the horizon, and after a gut-wrenching loss in Game 6 to the Houston Rockets, the Warriors must now confront a brutal truth, one that goes beyond just missed shots or failed plays. It's about the identity of a team that once ruled the NBA, and whether they still have what it takes to rise when everything is on the line. In Game 6, the Warriors had their chance to close the series at home. The energy was electric, the stage was set. Stephen Curry led the charge with 29 points, dancing through defenders with that signature finesse. Jimmy Butler was right there with him, contributing 27 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists in a performance that showed both grit and grace. But despite their brilliance, the team faltered when it mattered most. The Warriors missed 14 of their last 15 shots in the fourth quarter, allowing the Rockets to claw their way back and steal the victory, 115-107. It wasn't just about missed opportunities. It was about being overpowered, physically outmatched and tactically outmaneuvered. Fred VanVleet, a man known for making big plays in big moments, dropped 29 points for Houston and ignited a crucial 12-0 run that silenced the Chase Center and swung the momentum in Houston's favor. In those final minutes, the Warriors didn't just lose a game, they lost control. Much of the post-game conversation has centered around Steve Kerr's continued trust in small ball lineups. It's a strategy that once revolutionized the NBA, turning speed and spacing into weapons against traditional size. But those days feel distant now. In today's playoffs, nearly every contending team is leaning into physicality, using size, strength, and interior dominance as the blueprint for victory. And the Rockets? They've mastered it. With players like Steven Adams and Alperen Sengun anchoring the paint, they've crushed the Warriors on the glass and forced Golden State into uncomfortable, inefficient possessions. In the past 2 games, it's become painfully clear, the Warriors cannot compete physically with Houston's trio of bigs. Points in the paint have come far too easily for the Rockets, and Golden State has failed to control the boards, even when they've resorted to tactics like the Hack Adams strategy to slow things down. But gimmicks don't win playoff series. Toughness does. Rebounding does. Size matters. And in that department, the Warriors have been coming up short. Coach Kerr's stubbornness in clinging to the 3-guard lineup, Steph Curry, Chris Paul, and another smaller guard, has once again proven ineffective against teams with real muscle. This isn't a regular season problem anymore. In the postseason, where every possession is magnified and mismatches are ruthlessly exploited, those undersized lineups get exposed. The offensive rhythm Kerr hoped to achieve with these rotations hasn't materialized. If anything, the offense has become more inconsistent, less fluid, and more reliant on hero ball from Curry and Butler. Then there's the case of Quinton Post. His shooting stroke from the perimeter once offered a glimmer of hope, a stretch big who could space the floor and pull defenders out of the paint. But in this series, Post's weaknesses have been laid bare. His slow foot speed, inability to generate offense after a shot fake, and lack of physical presence on the glass have all but erased his effectiveness. The Rockets aren't guarding him with fear anymore, they're baiting him into uncomfortable situations, and he's not responding. Meanwhile, Kevin Looney and Tracy Jackson-Davis, 2 players who could bring much-needed size and paint protection, have been largely underutilized. Their ability to rebound, set strong screens, and defend the rim could provide exactly what Golden State is missing. And yet, Kerr has hesitated to give them real minutes, choosing instead to gamble with stretch lineups that keep getting pushed around. And let's talk about Buddy Hield. He's been given major minutes in this series, but his impact remains a mixed bag. When he's hot, he stretches the floor and gives the Warriors another scoring threat. But in the playoffs, consistency is everything, and Hield has been anything but consistent. Defensive lapses, questionable shot selection, and cold shooting stretches have cost the team valuable possessions. At times, it feels like the Warriors are trying to fit square pegs into round holes, refusing to adapt to the reality in front of them. Not even the brilliance of Steph Curry and the intensity of Jimmy Butler can mask the systemic issues dragging this team down. Curry's numbers are elite, he's averaging nearly 30 points a game in this series, and in Game 7s, he's historically been even more explosive, averaging over 32 points. Butler, with his all-around game, has been a rock, doing everything he can on both ends. But basketball is a team sport. And without support from the bench, without physical defenders, and without a change in mindset, even superstars can only carry so much weight. After Game 6, an emotional moment captured everyone's attention. Curry was seen embracing his son courtside, whispering words of reassurance after the tough loss. It was a rare glimpse into the emotional toll this series has taken, not just on the players, but on their families, on the fans, and on the legacy of this Warriors team. But in Curry's eyes, there was no defeat. There was resolve. Determination. A fire that said, "We're not done yet." Still, emotions must be channeled into execution. And for the Warriors, execution begins with change. That means trusting players like Gue Santos, a young forward who has shown glimpses of real two-way impact when given consistent minutes. His energy, defensive instincts, and chemistry with the second unit might just be the spark this team needs heading into Houston. It also means giving Looney and Jackson Davis a chance to battle in the trenches, to box out Steven Adams, to contest shots at the rim. It means moving away from fantasy and leaning into the fundamentals: rebounding, defense, toughness. The reality is simple. The Rockets have figured out the formula: dominate the paint, bully the glass, and let Golden State's small lineup self-destruct. If the Warriors want to win Game 7, they can't just rely on shooting their way out of trouble. They must fight. They must outwork Houston on the boards. They must commit to defense for 48 minutes. And most importantly, they must play like their season depends on it, because it does. Draymond Green, the heartbeat of this team for so many years, needs to lead with discipline. In Game 6, his flagrant foul was a moment of frustration that only made things worse. In Game 7, he needs to channel that fire into leadership, defense, and smart decisions. The Warriors will need his presence more than ever. As the team heads to Houston for the final showdown, the narrative is clear. This is not just about a series. It's about legacy. It's about pride. It's about answering the critics, the doubters, and the voices saying this dynasty has run its course. The Warriors have been here before, backs against the wall, season on the line. And time and again, they've found a way to rise. But this time feels different. The margin for error is razor thin. The physical mismatch is real. And unless the coaching staff adapts, unless they make the hard but necessary decisions, the outcome will be the same as Game 6, heartbreak. For Steph Curry, for Jimmy Butler, for every veteran in that locker room, this is the moment. Not next season. Not some theoretical future. Now. They must reclaim their identity, not as the small ball revolutionaries of the past, but as a team willing to dig deep, to fight, to get their hands dirty and win ugly if they must. Game 7 awaits. One game. 48 minutes. Win, and they move on. Lose, and the questions will only get louder. Is this the end of the Golden State Warriors as we know them? Or will this be the night they remind the world, and themselves, who they really are? The answer is coming. And it's coming fast. And here's the key takeaway from the channel: delve into financial education to enhance your quality of life. Within the financial market, explore bonds and shares, particularly focusing on real estate investment trusts, which offer the potential for passive income. Engage with this responsibly and consider reputable investment brokerages worldwide.